You ever look at the world around you and wonder why everyone is so angry? It seems like everyone is looking for someone to blame for the problems that are going on in their lives, whether it be at home or in their communities or in our country or in the world. Someone must be to blame, and we're going to find them, and we're going to be angry about it until we do. This is something that I look at, and it bothers me so much because I realize that so much of what we experience in our world, so much of what we look at and try to blame others for, really is nothing more than a lack of personal responsibility. I want to talk about personal responsibility for a minute, but before I do, if you're watching this video and you have not yet subscribed on YouTube, please do that. That helps me to know who's out there and who's watching and how to better put content out that can be helpful to you. If you're watching this somewhere else, go to YouTube and you can find my page, Jeremy Stallnecker, and like the page there, and that would be great. Personal responsibility. Why does personal responsibility matter? And it does. But if you look at the people on your timeline, whether it's on Facebook or maybe on Twitter, I'm apparently a little aged to use Twitter, maybe somewhere else, it seems like personal responsibility is something that we don't care about anymore. That what we care about is finding someone else to blame. Because if someone else is to blame, someone else is responsible, then we can feel good about our own lack of responsibility. But personal responsibility absolutely matters. Now, I believe there are people who are responsible for the things that they do. But instead of looking at everything that everyone else does as a societal problem or a problem found somewhere else, we need to understand the impact of personal responsibility. Now, this has so many implications. In our country right now, we're dealing with so many people who have behaved so badly, people who have taken the lives of others, people who have caused problems in their communities and in their families. And most of the time, at least here in the United States, what we do when someone acts of their own volition and they exercise their own free will and they hurt someone in the process, what we typically do is we step back and say, all right, who's to blame? It can't be the person who caused the problems. It must be someone else. And while I believe there are often underlying problems that cause people to behave poorly, what we need to focus on more than anything is the personal responsibility that either existed or failed to exist in whatever happened. You know who's responsible when someone gets hurt? The person who did the hurting. You know who's responsible when things don't work out really well? The people who are involved in that, making those decisions. They're the ones who are responsible. And yet we always look for someone else to blame. We look for groups of anonymous people even sometimes to be upset at, or on social media we blame people that we don't really know. For someone who has kids, and I have 4 children, the greatest gift that I can give them really as human beings is an understanding of personal responsibility. Because when people stop looking to others as the opportunity to blame, or they stop looking at others as those who will prop them up or provide for them, and they take responsibility for their own actions, and they decide that they need to work hard to achieve, and that when they fail, they own up to that. They take responsibility for it, and they get back up and continue moving forward. If I teach my kids that instead of looking for someone else to blame around you in your home or in your community or in our country, instead of looking for someone else to blame, do what you can do. Be responsible for what you can be responsible for. It empowers them. It empowers them because now, instead of experiencing anxiety over things they can't control, they're investing their lives in the things that they can. Personal responsibility in so many ways is the key that unlocks growth and potential and purpose in the life of an individual. Personal responsibility. So much I could say here, but I'll end with this. Instead of looking for people on whom you can place responsibility, look at yourself and accept responsibility. Instead of teaching your children or those in your sphere of influence to find others that they can blame, teach them to take responsibility for their own actions, to look at their own environment, their own situation, and answer the question, what do I need to do to move forward, and then to do that. What a gift you've given them. When those children, those people that you influence then fail, you've taught them to take responsibility for that. What you've really taught them is that failure is not something fatal, not something that cannot be recovered from. It is something, however, that if you'll accept responsibility for, you can get back up from and keep moving. The power of personal responsibility. It's time to stop screaming at people we don't know, trying to find someone on whom we can assign blame, looking for someone to lift us up or hand us what we need to succeed, and accept responsibility for ourselves. There is power in personal responsibility. I hope that's a help to you. Subscribe if you haven't, like the page, and share that with someone that may need it.